The word hit me like a slap, sharp, hot, unexpected.
I'm so
"You're such a
excited to
simp,
go.
David," Lisa said, her voice slicing through the quiet like broken glass across skin. For a second, the air in the kitchen didn't move. The light above us hummed faintly, catching in the wine she swirled, a dark red pool trembling in her glass. I stood there with the dish towel limp in my hands, the scent of garlic and overcooked pasta clinging to the air. My pulse stuttered, slow at first, then erratic, as if my body couldn't decide whether to fight or freeze. A simp. The word carried weight I hadn't felt before. 10 years of marriage, and that's what she saw when she looked at me, a man too soft, too loyal, too willing to serve. My chest tightened, cortisol flooding through my bloodstream, and I could almost feel my heartbeat pulsing against the edges of my ribs. I laughed it off, brittle and hollow. "What's that supposed to mean?" She didn't answer. Just turned her head slightly, her auburn hair brushing her shoulder as she stared out into the black window. Her reflection looked distant, detached, like she wasn't even in the same room anymore. That silence was worse than the insult. It pressed against my eardrums, heavy and alive, and something inside me began to fracture. That night, I lay awake beside her. The ceiling fan whispered overhead, spinning slow circles of cold air while my mind spun faster. She lay turned away, her breathing steady, her body an outline of someone I used to know. I kept replaying her voice, the way her mouth had shaped that word, simp, as if it were both truth and punishment. I told myself she was tired, stressed, overworked. Her design clients had been falling through, and money was tight. People snap under pressure. But my body didn't believe me. My vagus nerve refused calm, my gut twisted with a primal knowing my mind kept denying. Days passed, and the air between us changed. Her phone never left her hand anymore. She angled it away when I entered a room, her pupils flicking up, her micro-expressions tightening like someone trying to hide a pulse. The dopamine she used to get from our late-night talks, she was getting it from somewhere else. I noticed the way her perfume lingered on clothes she hadn't worn around me. The scent of someone else's cologne faintly woven into her scarf. The way she smiled at her phone, an unconscious dopamine burst visible in her eyes, the kind that used to be reserved for me. I asked one night, keeping my tone even. "You okay?" She flinched, thumb freezing mid-scroll. "Fine. Just tired. Too fast. Too defensive." Her sympathetic nervous system betrayed her, shoulders stiff, breath shallow, pupils slightly dilated. I could read her body like a case file. That night, the distance between us grew into something physical. A wall of unspoken truths that hummed with electricity. I kept cooking, cleaning, pretending, because pretending gave my brain structure, something for the prefrontal cortex to hold while the limbic system screamed. But the tension became a kind of slow violence. One night, I broke. She was in the shower, water hissing like static while I sat on the bed, staring at her phone. My fingers tingled, fight or flight merging into a tremor. The passcode was our anniversary. 4 numbers that used to mean forever. It unlocked. A message from Alex. My heartbeat shifted from a rhythm to a hammer. "Miss you already? Last night was incredible." My body reacted before my thoughts could catch up, dopamine crashing, cortisol surging, blood rushing from my face. I felt nauseous, like the world had tilted slightly off axis. My fingers went numb. When she walked in, wrapped in a towel, her wet hair dripping onto the hardwood, I was already sitting on the edge of the bed. Her phone in my hand. Her eyes widened, dilated, panicked, and then narrowed. "David, what the hell are you doing?" Her voice was sharp, but underneath it, there was fear. "Who's Alex?" I asked. My voice sounded calm, disturbingly calm, like my body had shut down the panic to conserve energy. She froze. Her lips parted, closed, opened again. For a moment, I thought she might lie. I wanted her to. Lies, at least, would give me something soft to hold onto. But instead, she looked down. Silence. That was my answer. The room pulsed with quiet. My amygdala burned hot, demanding a reaction, but my limbs stayed heavy. "It's not what you think," she whispered finally. Too late. I'd already seen it. The intimacy in her words, the rhythm of her sentences, dopamine-coated patterns meant for someone else. The days that followed blurred together, cortisol grinding me down into something mechanical. I moved into the guest room. She still lived there, physically, but emotionally she was a ghost, moving through the house like someone rehearsing a part they no longer cared to play. I wanted to hate her. But anger takes energy, and I had none left. I just missed her. Missed the way she used to hum off-key when cooking, the way she'd steal bites from my plate and smile like a thief. I kept wondering where I'd failed. Was I too kind? Too loyal? Was my love just another weakness she grew to resent? Then came the call. A Tuesday. Gray sky, gray thoughts. The police officer's voice was steady, factual, but his words detonated something inside me. Lisa had been arrested. Fraud. Embezzlement. Money siphoned from her own clients. And the name Alex came up again, her business partner. My mouth went dry. Even betrayal had layers now. It wasn't just emotional, it was criminal. A full architecture of deceit, built quietly while I was busy trying to save what she'd already abandoned. When I saw her in jail, the fluorescent lights made her look smaller, paler. She clutched the table like it could keep her upright. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said, her voice trembling. "I loved you, David. I still do." The words should have meant something, but they just echoed in the sterile air, empty, chemical, stripped of feeling. Walking out, the door clanged behind me, metal biting through silence. That sound felt final. For years, I'd been her safe harbor, her emotional anchor. But love without respect is just a slow form of self-erasure. I realized the real insult wasn't her affair, it was my blindness to it. The word simp came back to me then, not as an accusation, but as anatomy. The way my heart had kept pumping for someone who'd already stopped listening. And as I stood outside under the gray sky, the wind cutting cold against my skin, I finally exhaled, slow, steady, real. My body knew before my mind did, I was free. Love hadn't saved her. But truth, brutal as it was, had finally saved me. And that's how I learned, sometimes peace doesn't come from forgiveness. It comes from walking away. Subscribe for more true stories.